Let's get the Conservative view. James Wilde is with me now. He's the Shadow Exchequer Secretary to the Treasury. James, good morning.
Morning, Peter.
Digital IDs, will you be carrying one?
No, we don't support making this mandatory. I think Darren Jones's video was completely tone deaf. We've seen 1.6 million people sign a petition in the hours after the Prime Minister made this pretty desperate announcement. He said it's about tackling illegal migration, but employers already have to check someone's identity. We don't support making it mandatory to do this in a digital format. You want to build trust and confidence in these services and get people to adopt them and choose to adopt them if they want to. If they prefer to use traditional methods, then they should be able to do that.
It's interesting in terms of what the government says will happen. It says it can get migration under control. Have you seen any evidence of that?
Well, no, quite the opposite, isn't it? We've seen, I think, 11,000 people have arrived since they introduced their 17 in, 1 out deal with France. There's 30,000 plus this year have arrived already. So they're failing to stop the boat, smash the gangs, because they got rid of the deterrent scheme that was there. So this is just a kind of desperate tactic to try and draw attention away from the scandal around the Prime Minister and his Chief of Staff over donations that weren't properly declared. And it comes off the back of, obviously, the Peter Mandelson scandal and the resignation of Angela Rayner. In
the Conservative Party, you know quite a lot about scandals too. The Electoral Commission, in regard to Morgan McSweeney, says there's nothing to see here.
Well, we've revealed some exchanges between him and his lawyer where they cooked up this excuse about an administrative error. The Commission said they're not going to reopen that. We're disappointed by that, but obviously we've also asked the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner to look at this because the Prime Minister failed to declare any benefit in kind that he got from Labour Together, who were boasting openly about supporting his campaign.
That may well be something that the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner needs to look into, but do you think people are actually listening to you at the moment? Another poll, you can't just say it's one poll, there have been 70 since Christmas, there have been 100 since the election that put you in third or even fourth place. The fact is that, looking at the most recent poll, the Conservatives could go down to 45 seats. People are not listening to your message, James Wilde.
Well, look, we're working hard to win back the trust of the British people. It's just over a year since we lost an election badly because of some of the decisions we've made in government. But we're the only people who are being serious about the economy and the challenges that we face, and we need to live within our means. We've seen a government that's come in, whacked up taxes. It's about to whack them up again in the budget next month. We've got them reform. Other parties want to spend more on welfare. They want to get rid of the two-child cap, which would cost £3.5 billion a year. We're the only ones who are being serious about the economic challenges that we face, and we need to get spending under control. So we've got to keep making the arguments. Those polls, we would rather be higher in the polls. We didn't expect to be a sudden turnaround just because it's a year after the election. We've got to win people's trust, and we've got our conference coming up soon where we'll be making announcements and setting out more of our plans about how we would change the country and improve people's lives.
James, there's a story around this morning about Pete North, who is an activist. He's been arrested on a couple of occasions, but was arrested simply for retweeting something which said F Hamas. There were a couple of other not particularly nice sentiments in there, but nothing I think that is illegal. Let's just see a little bit of the footage of the arrest of Pete North.
Basically, our hate crime team reviewed it and said there are offences there we need to explore.
Okay.
Basically, Section 19 refers to spreading what we say like racial hatred. So you've posted something online that we believe is spreading racial hatred.
Twitter, Facebook.
So that was a police officer explaining to Pete North why he was being arrested. Now, what he retweeted, which quite a number of other people retweeted as well, it's not a particularly nice thing, but we're going to put it on screen with a few bits blurred out. But nonetheless, this is what he retweeted. F Palestine, F Hamas, F Islam, want to protest, F off to a Muslim country and protest. Now, James Wilde, I think this is on the background, I should say, of a Palestinian flag. Now, James Wilde, I think we can probably agree it's not the nicest thing that anyone has ever tweeted, but should someone be arrested for tweeting that?
Well, Hamas is a prescribed terrorist organisation, so I'm concerned about that and that video and the policeman apologising. I mean, I think your viewers, my constituents, would want to see the police actually arresting shoplifters and other criminals rather than policing people's tweets. I don't think that would justify the action that we've seen on that video, and it is concerning. It comes off the back of a few other incidents where people have also been arrested for saying things there's a right to offend people, and if it crosses the line, and obviously action does need to be taken. But I think the police need to get a bit of common sense here, really, rather than arresting people late at night and taking them from their homes.
It's not always that I praise the Health Secretary Wes Streeting, but he has condemned the fact that a doctor has not been censored by the General Medical Council for tweets which includes Britain is totally occupied by a Jewish supremacy. Another one, this is on the 13th of July, Jews can deny it all they like, but at some point you'll have to accept that Jewish supremacy is what is murdering us, is the basis on which Israel, in inverted commas, was created and continued to exist. That's fine, apparently, according to the General Medical Council, but this isn't. This is two-tier justice in action, James.
Well, I think there also, the doctor made some tweets also about the October the 7th
That's right.
massacre, where over 1,000 people were murdered, people were raped in one of the most horrendous attacks on Jewish people that there has been in recent decades. I think the General Medical Council, I think there's still another investigation that is ongoing, but this is a situation where I would unusually agree with Wes Streeting on the action here that needs to be taken.
Yeah, he says he has no confidence in the medical regulation system, and he called Israelis worse. This doctor, I should say, the female doctor, called Israelis worse than Nazis. We'll come back to that story a bit later in the programme. I just want to ask you a couple more things. One is about Britain signing an ambitious migration deal with the EU. That's what Rachel Reeves says needs to happen, that allows young Europeans to live and work here. She said it would bolster economic growth and reduce the need for tax rises in the budget. Is this desperate stuff from Rachel Reeves? She is saying the growth is needed. Of course, we know recently there's been 0% growth.
Well, indeed, and back in May, the Prime Minister was touting this great reset he'd had with the EU. None of the stuff that he said would happen, getting rid of some of the checks that the EU insisted on, having more security cooperation, none of that has been implemented. So there's nothing for the OBR to score. Rachel Reeves is desperately scrabbling around to try and get the numbers to add up, because she's going to have to raise taxes again a year after failing to grow the economy, because she hiked taxes on business. Unemployment's gone up month after month. We don't need more people coming into the country to work. We've got unemployment going up in this country.
Tell me how you would reply to Simon in Essex, who has sent us a text, 87222, with the word talking a sec, saying, "Morning, Pete. Please ask that Tory guy," that's you, James, "how much will digital ID cost and what happens if no one takes it up?" Well, we've been told it'll be free at the point of use, but that is a good point to ask. What happens if no one takes it up? What happens if people say they're not going to take up digital ID? There could be criminal sanctions, couldn't there?
Well, if you make it mandatory, you have to have a sanction. Otherwise, how would you enforce it? So, yeah, I think we know from government IT schemes that they tend not to be massively successful. I think even Darren Jones was saying that yesterday as he was touting this great scheme. So there's also security concerns. We've seen the hacks at M&S, Jaguar Land Rover, a nursery chain. There's all these things going on. So people are rightly concerned about the security of their data, and this would change the relationship between the citizen and the state. That's why I think making it mandatory is a bad idea. You should encourage people to adopt technology. If it's going to make their life easier, then give them the option to do it. It's kind of like people prefer to use cash rather than cards in some places. We wouldn't mandate the use of cards just because it's simpler for some businesses to not be able to do that. We're protecting the use of cash. I think the government's wrong on this. We've seen a strong reaction already from so many people. And again, this is a rushed announcement. They haven't even got most of the detail out there. There's no legislation that would have to be introduced. This is some way off.
Do you think it's a dead cat? Do you think they're simply putting out this policy to distract from other problems they're having with Andy Burnham, with the Electoral Commission and other things? Because your view anyway is this hasn't been properly thought out.
Well, that's what it has. We've got a very short press release. If you're doing something like introducing effectively digital ID cards, that is a major change. That's a major policy announcement. You'd expect to have the white papers and all the documents ready to go with it in the legislation. What have we got? We've got a thin press release just the day or 2 days before the Labour Party conference, where, as you say, Andy Burnham's agitating to come back and take over from Keir Starmer, who's floundering her away. And the big issue is the economy, where Labour have failed. Unemployment's going up, growth is going down, taxes are going up, borrowing is going up, and they can't get a grip of spending. Their backbenchers are refusing to make savings to the welfare budget.
What about your conference in Manchester, James Wild? Surely there will be at least a few conversations about the future of Kemi Badenoch.
Well, I'm looking forward to the conference. I'm looking forward to Kemi speaking to the conference, but more importantly, speaking to the country and setting out her priorities and her philosophy. I think we've got the right values under her leadership about living within our means, taking responsibility.
She's not making an impact, though, is she?
Enterprise. Well, it's not going to happen overnight, but I think on the big issues...
It's going to happen sometime, hasn't happened so far.
Well, we keep pursuing it, Peter. It's not going to be overnight change in our fortunes. We've got to get the right to have a hearing from the British people, and that's why we're talking about the issues that matter, about the economy, about spending, about the things that really impact on people. And we've led the opposition to this government while other parties have been absent from Parliament, and you've got the Liberal Democrats who are always cozying up to the government. It's the Conservatives who are leading the opposition to this government and its failing.
Really? I mean, surely it's Reform UK that's leading the opposition. They're much further ahead than you, and people are listening to them and responding to them.
Well, we'll see. They're offering some easy answers when the reality is you need to have serious solutions to the problems that we face. They're actually quite left-wing on the economy. They want to increase spending. They're promising some fantasy tax cuts, and we need to expose what they're selling is not going to change the fortunes of the country.
Okay, James Wilde, Shadow Exchequer Secretary, thank you very